Suicide Squad is AIDS reborn.
Anything, I mean, yeah.
It's also one of the worst Hollywood big-budget movies I've ever seen. I didn't really think it was possible to make a superhero movie that is worse than The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which was so baffling in its awfulness that I never thought its shocking repulsiveness could ever be topped. Boy, was I wrong.
I'm an idea. State of mind.
And I'm trying to look at the value of these products as movies, not just blindly hating them because they have superheroes in. It's not my fault that a lot of superhero movies also happen to be some of the worst things I've ever seen. Hate the system, not the systemer who absorbs the system. That is how that phrase goes, right? This movie makes me want to commit suicide. Squad. A joke I'm sure that's never been made before. I probably never would have made a video about this product if it wasn't for a very specific reason. After all, I never made a video about The Amazing Spider-Man 2, so why does this one deserve a video? Well, for a start, this film is significantly worse. And I fucking despise The Amazing Spider-Man 2, let me tell you. So for some reason, this film is actually loved by a significantly large group of people.
What the fuck is wrong with critics? That was an awesome fucking movie!
Yeah. The film is currently sat at a 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb, with ratings from over 250,000 people. Now, I really don't get much pleasure in saying this, but if you think that Suicide Squad is a well-rounded, great piece of cinema, you are wrong. You are very wrong. Actually, I did derive a lot of pleasure in saying that. Look, you can enjoy this film all you like. In fact, the last time I went to London, I saw plenty of people with wince-worthy Suicide Squad merchandise on. So clearly there are lots of people who love joking off to Harley Quinn. Sorry, I mean people who adore Captain Boomerang, that famous iconic character who everyone adores. I bet he's got some great stories out there, I tell you what. Hey, what about the guy whose special ability is that he can climb anything?
The man can climb anything.
He can climb absolutely anything. He's my favorite. But what about the man who's a crocodile? Killer Croc. He's literally credited as Killer Croc. His name is Killer Croc. Maybe that guy's my favorite. God, it's so hard to choose with all these amazingly fresh and well-rounded, interesting characters. I gotta say, Killer Croc is almost as good as the famous Flash villain, Gorilla Grodd. Did somebody say Harambe? With the help of memes, any video can pretty much write itself. The passion and love for Suicide Squad reached critical mass when a particularly fucking stupid sect of these fans started a petition called Don't Listen to Film Criticism, petitioning the audiences. This is real.
There's a disconnect between critics and audiences.
A vague and broad sentence indeed, which to be fair isn't necessarily false, but at the same time, it's not exactly a very thoughtful opinion that holds any bearing over anything. Like, what are you even trying to say with this?
You may enjoy a movie regardless what the critics say about it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was arguing otherwise, mate. Everyone enjoys the odd shit movie. I don't think anyone was saying that you're not allowed to enjoy it.
We must get the people to know that the criticism not the measure of the quality of movies. It's just the opinions of critics. Sign the petition!
Right, so basically what they're saying is, abandon the mob mentality of everyone bandwagoning with what critics say, and instead, let's all bandwagon together in the same way, but on the other extreme side of the argument. Clearly a child, or at least an adult with the brain capacity of a child, and a very stupid child at that. It's not exactly the critics' fault that you hold them with such high esteem, that you value and justify their opinion to the point of you being offended by their thoughts on a garbage movie about a crocodile man and a dude who can climb anything. So all in all, I think it is perfectly okay to enjoy this movie if you want. More power to you. It's just that if you tell me that you enjoy this movie on any level other than, yeah, I know it's completely flawed, broken, poorly written, and pretty terrible in every way, but I still enjoyed it, then I'm sorry, but you have absolutely no critical capability for what makes a well-rounded, well-made film. You know, it is perfectly acceptable and okay to acknowledge that something is garbage, but still like it. Like, for example, there are plenty of people who would adore to have this thing in their house. And this is probably the worst fucking thing I've ever seen. After Suicide Squad, of course. I really don't want to go in an in-depth breakdown of the plot. I more just want to respond to why people think this movie is good. and why they're wrong. But if you really have to know because you're never going to waste your time watching it, some famous and not so famous DC Comics villains are blackmailed into stopping a ghost from destroying everything with a big laser in a world where Batman, the Flash, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, etc. all exist. Also, take note of the fact that I summated the plot of this movie in basically one sentence. Not a single goddamn thing makes any sense. In fact, the material is handled so poorly that I'm dumbfounded. In a movie that literally has scenes in it with both Batman and the Flash, why would they not expect the audience to ask, where are the superheroes? Why are the superheroes not helping out? What is a mental patient and a guy with a fucking boomerang supposed to do against demon ghosts? What are they supposed to do? Fucking shoot them or hit them with a baseball bat? Oh, it actually works. I'm gonna jump back into the odd Twitter response I got to the question I posed as follows. To anyone who likes Suicide Squad, can you please tell me why you like it? Cheers. So going back to the fact that this movie is about the whole world coming to an end because of a ghost shooting a beam into the sky.
I know this is rich, but it felt more realistic, more human than most superhero movies. Also, the CGI is orgasmic.
So what part about ghosts and crocodile people was realistic to you exactly? I could understand the realism point if we were talking about a DC movie like The Dark Knight or even Watchmen to a certain extent. But Suicide Squad? Are you out of your mind? They literally prefaced their own argument with, I know this is rich. And you're right, all of what you said is completely rich, and as a result, holds no water at all. Why the fuck did they feel this world-ending motivation was necessary? In the DC animated movie Batman Assault on Arkham, which is basically a Suicide Squad movie, they have every single element that would have made a fine superhero film if they basically just remade it in live action. It wouldn't necessarily have been anything great really, just a bit of fun. Just what you need to make an enjoyable, watchable movie. It makes sense, they keep it small scale, don't make you constantly question everything. The groundwork was there, but whoever's in charge of these movies decided to opt for the "this movie has to take place in the most important event that has ever affected the whole entire world ever in the history of anything that's ever happened" type deal. Okay then, so if I can summarize the plot in one single sentence, then you'd assume that the bulk of the movie is about character drama and the banter that comes with a group of misfits having to work together to accomplish a common goal. But guess what?
They fucked that up too.
Not only does every character have the most cookie-cutter fucking backstory imaginable that's glossed over in mere seconds, but the only potentially interesting ones are completely fucking ruined. You simply cannot lead with a movie like this. You just can't. Not a single one of these characters has been established in this universe yet. So to make you even remotely care about any of them, they have to quickly shove in predictable and trite backstories that make you roll your eyes so hard they'll get lost in the back of your fucking head. DC was so desperate for their own Guardians of the Galaxy that they failed to think about how much of a task it is to establish this many characters in a single film and make it work. The one everyone seems to like is Harley Quinn. I do think she looks the part, but her character is fucking awful. Her annoying accent goes all over the place, her backstory is completely glossed over and ruined, and she's so ridiculously over-sexualized to the point of it actually being distracting. When she's not spouting out cringeworthy one-liners, she's basically just droning on about the Joker, who I'll talk about later. There's Will Smith, who's doing a good job at playing Will Smith.
What, we some kind of Suicide Squad?
The least convincing villain I have ever seen. Sorry man, you're just too charming and likable.
For those of us who don't speak good guy.
He has a child who acts as the main motivation for every decision he makes.
Mama says I can't live with you because you kill people.
But the kid's acting is so fucking poor that every single scene with them is immediately squandered and laughable. You know, Captain Boomerang, I actually kind of like. If we lived in a parallel universe where everything in this movie was somehow enjoyable and good, and Jai Courtney's role was nearly identical to how it was in this version, I actually think he might work quite well and would be being praised for pulling off such a ridiculous character. Because let's be real, Captain Boomerang is fucking dumb. Let me clarify that Captain Boomerang, Captain motherfucking Boomerang, actually manages to be the least cringy element of this movie. Captain Boomerang! He doesn't really have one of those ridiculously manipulative backstories thrown in. He's just kind of a selfish asshole, and that almost kind of sort of works. My favorite character, of course, is the man who can climb anything.
Here comes Slipknot, the man who can climb anything.
His motivation is that he can climb anything. His backstory is that he can climb anything. He's just the ultimate badass who can climb anything. That is his power. He can climb anything. The biggest problem is, though, as soon as he tries to climb his way out of this fucking awful movie, he gets his head exploded. So I guess, in the end, he really couldn't climb everything after all. He couldn't climb his way out of DC's Suicide Squad 2016. I'm gonna miss you, man who could climb anything. And it's actually such a shame that they kill him so quickly, because this character is so amazingly uncool that I actually kind of adore it. This guy's like Kite Man levels of pathetic. Killer Croc is the generic big tough guy who's just kind of there, and he's laughably bad.
I'm not asking, bruh.
Especially in a later scene where he's swimming underwater and it looks utterly ridiculous. My biggest pet peeve with him is how the actor whose name I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce plays this character physically. As in, he does these incredibly over-exaggerated movements all the time that instead of actually being a big scary crocodile man, make him just look like a guy in makeup pretending to be a big scary crocodile man. It's just very on the nose and unsubtle. I really can't be bothered to talk about any of the other characters because they're so fucking boring and forgettable. Although I do want to talk about Katana, a character who's just randomly thrown in long into the running time of the movie for no reason I can even think of. Like, even if it was to sell toys, who the fuck's gonna buy a Katana toy? Nobody cares about you, Katana. Go away! She barely does anything, and her entire setup is just told to you by other characters in the most confusing and forced-in way possible.
This is Katana. I would advise not getting killed by her. Her sword traps the souls of its victims. Katana!
Who are you? Why are you important? We have so many characters already. Why is Katana necessary? And I quickly want to touch on that scene that everyone was giving credit for some reason, where they're like in the bar, and it's like the moment they all become pals. Whoa, this is really good writing right here. What are you talking about? This scene sucks ass. No one has any arc whatsoever. It's just kind of like, well, we remember that part in Guardians of the Galaxy where they kind of progressed as people and learned to work together? Let's just do that. That's when that would happen in that movie, so let's just make it happen in this movie. It's not earned. That's the important part. It's not earned. It just happens. They may as well just look to the camera and said, audience, this is the part where we go from all being a little bit funny and having a little bit of attitude with each other to now getting along really well. We love each other like a family. Fuck off. Terrible scene. It's such a frustrating film to talk about because, in my opinion, there is not a single aspect of quality. Actually, hold on. There is one thing that I kind of liked. And that thing is a single shot where a ghost hand comes in from under the normal girl's hand and then it like turns her into a ghost. It's like a transformation sequence. That's it. That's the only thing that pricked my eyebrows up. A completely mindless visual that really is not important at all. But anyway, it's not even really the things I've been talking about that make this film worse than your average forgettable superhero movie. It's the fact that, let me just get the list out. The pacing is atrocious. The film starts like 17 times. It's like a dozen trailers all dragged together in premiere that will just kind of start out of nowhere. No thought put into any of it. The editing is awful. The use of the soundtrack is insulting and jarring. The dialogue is beyond predictable and vapid. The visual effects aren't even good. The action is poorly filmed and dull. The cinematography and lighting is bland. The motivation of the characters flip all over the place when it's convenient. The performances are fucking awful. And the film can't even decide on what tone it wants to have. I think it's pretty well known at this point that this film had two major edits. One from the trailer house who edited the Bohemian Rhapsody trailer everyone liked. Yes, like a trailer studio did a cut of this movie. The trailer studio. And there was another edit approved by the director himself. And the final product that DC winded up going with is like a weird hybrid of these two edits I just mentioned. And guess what? It fucking shows. It utterly destroys the pacing. The first half of the movie literally feels like you're just watching trailer after trailer. Trailer after trailer. Music of all different tones are just coming out left and right, and you're fucking just sat there melting away. What is going on? What the fuck is happening in this goddamn movie right now? What am I supposed to feel? What am I supposed to feel? There's also a little random tidbit I noticed, which is really, really strange. Just look at the last frame of the movie that shows the title after the credits. What? What the fuck? Did a 6-year-old edit this in Movie Maker? What is that font? How did this get left in the movie? I really don't recommend you buying and watching this on DVD, but when you get to the end, make sure you look out for this part after the credits. Like, this is real. This is in Suicide Squad. What the fuck? And I have yet to talk about the crocodile in the room. Sorry. I mean fucking edgelord in the room. Jared Leto's controversial Joker. I was willing to give him a chance. Everyone kept saying, remember Heath Ledger? Everyone was against that. And I gave him a chance. I gave Jared Leto a chance. But fuck me. Fuck me. I watched this in the comfort of my own home, and I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed for him, and I was embarrassed for myself for watching this. I can only imagine how uncomfortable it must have been to see this at the cinema. And I know this point I'm about to make has nothing to do with the performance itself necessarily, but please, read up about the shit Jared Leto got up to in preparation to play this Joker. I hate using this word too much, but it's fucking cringe. I cringed so fucking hard every time he did anything. He has absolutely no setup at all. He just walks into a room and makes Harley Quinn. They took the potentially really interesting plotline of how the Joker makes Harley Quinn, and they turn it into a rushed flashback. That shit alone could have been its own Batman movie, and this is how they squander that material. The best villain DC has, and they fucking ruin him in his first entry in this universe. Wow, DC, you're really off to the races with this amazing DC cinematic universe, aren't you guys? Pathetic. It's fucking awful. It's so bad. You know what though? Let's talk about another positive. The way I see it, this movie did succeed at one particular thing in spades. It perfectly and gracefully, in one swift motion, fucking ruined an entire rogues gallery of potentially fun characters in the first movie they were all introduced in. Which in itself is quite an achievement. Way to fuck up beyond repair the first ever live action interpretation of Harley Quinn. You absolute jackasses.
Another movie that should have been rated R.
Ah, yes. Yes, because the extended edition of Batman v Superman fixed every single problem by adding multiple CG blood explosions and unnecessary scenes that really had nothing of consequence. That's what this movie needed. An R rating. That would have improved it. Speaking of extended editions, a common argument I see is that the extended cuts fix a lot of the issues the original cuts had. I've seen both extended cuts for BVS and Suicide Squad, and they change nothing. In fact, all it does is make it more bloated in comparison. If you want more time to fucking cringe at the Joker a bit more, there are some extra Joker scenes. I think Killer Croc gets a little bit of a backstory too, which is pretty exciting if you ask me. And that's pretty much it. It's basically DC capitalizing on the hope of their fans by putting forward this idea that adding more footage will somehow improve the terrible movie they desperately want to love. The worst part is that I actually really adore Batman and his villains. They can be great fun when they're done right. But my enjoyment for Batman does not overpower my enjoyment for well-made movies. Just because the shitty new Joker is in a famous Joker costume in every scene he's in, as a reference for fans to notice, that doesn't mean I can ignore how poorly made this product is. And that's what it is. A mindless, cynical fucking product. The studios, they know what sells. Edgy Hot Topic bullshit like this has a surprisingly large audience, because it somehow escapes the nerdy superhero stigma. The Joker, Harley Quinn, along with Deadpool, Batman, Superman, Wolverine, and probably a couple others I can't even think of, are some of the few superhero characters that are okay for your average person whose favorite Overwatch character is Reaper to enjoy. The fact of the matter is, I was so angry and so frustrated throughout the entire running time of this movie. Its terribleness stood out more to me than something like Independence Day Resurgence or any number of movies that fit into this similar category. When I leave a film and the only thing I liked was a single worthless shot, I consider that to be an utter fucking failure. If I physically put my head in my hands, in grief and misery because of how poorly made and ineffective a movie is, this film deserves to be in the search for the worst. What a fucking failure. What a complete failure on every single level. I'd like to see anyone even try to debate that me adding this to the search for the worst ranking list is not a fair move. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna fucking say it. I hate this film more than The Last Airbender. And I know that's probably a controversial opinion, but comparatively, more elements of The Last Airbender are quality over this movie. Without the attachment to the show it's based off, I think it's just sort of a hilariously bad and incompetent movie. And don't get me wrong, this is still comparing dog shit to cat shit, but they're both still shit. And finally, let me just rebuttal the argument that BVS was worse. Nope. BVS, while still being a film I fucking hate, does actually have things of quality that you can point at. For example, there are multiple scenes which I think are genuinely quite good. The opening scene is pretty effective, the Batman v Superman fight scene has some fun moments in it, the Batman warehouse fight scene is fucking incredible, I'm just gonna say it, that scene is amazing on its own. And there's only one major character that's making me cringe all the goddamn time, unlike in Suicide Squad where there's only one character that isn't making me cringe. You know, I'm sure this video will piss off some of you super fans who won't listen to a word I say and will immediately dislike the video, so make sure you dislike it. Make sure you dislike it, I really do appreciate that. And don't forget to leave your 5-page essays as to why I'm wrong in the comment section, and I'll make sure to delete it without even reading a single word. So thanks for watching, all comments and ratings very much appreciated. I know the Fred trilogy was... The Fred trilogy was supposed to be first, but this was much quicker to make because it's only one movie rather than 3. It's coming. That video's coming, don't you worry. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Bye!